Good morning. Live stream should be up and running by now. It's 9:01 a.m., July 14th on a Thursday. And today's title over here, Windows Daily. Yeah, there that audio is working. Windows Daily. Number 14, more Sysinternals. I'm going to kind of give a high overview here of what I have in mind for today's session by bringing up my Alt-Tab screen and show that I have Process Monitor, Process Explorer, Disk View, Administrator Command Prompt, RAM Map. Here's my Microsoft Word document. Those are the ones that I intend to be going to look at. And then also I have some Chrome tabs open here I want to go show. And we'll start with the Microsoft Word document that contains chat comments from yesterday and any comments made on the video afterwards from yesterday and emails, if any. So from Windows Daily 13, Sysinternals, Procmon, Paul Field from chat. A few messages from Long Dog talking about Sysinternals, just right on target with me, asking what the colors mean, and response in Process Explorer options menu configure color. You won't find it in the documentation. You find it frustrating if you go searching for it, or even a Google search for it. Kind of really doesn't get you there. And the place where we care about colors is in Process Explorer. The place to find that answer is go to options, configure colors, and this right here shows you what those colors mean. Now, it took me a while to go figure that to figure that out too. I know I figured it out years ago, but when you asked the question, I had to go look, oh, where is that at? So there's your answer there. Whereas the information from Sysinternals telling us the colors, what they mean. The creative software have been ingenious, working for Microsoft very long time. And we'll get into that a little bit. He's been using it since 2012. I think I caught on to it around 1996, which is just when it first came out. Of course, it wasn't called Sysinternals then. I updated over time. Amazed how well the original software works. I do want to touch on that. Leads me to believe, again, original roots of Windows software. Well, the thing there is not the original roots of Windows software, because that would be Windows 2.0 and 3.0 and 3.11 and so on. That was a very different operating system. Back in those days, we didn't have a registry. We had win.ini, system.ini. What else was it? I think there was progman.ini. Windows ran off of INI files. You would boot your computer to DOS and launch Windows. Windows 95 is when we got the registry, or possibly even Windows NT prior to that. Probably had registry. Wasn't very much involved with NT. And in fact, I'm going to get to something here that I think is going to kind of support that idea. But consider this, Windows 95 dealt with registry, had DLL files, had very much the same concepts of how a computer operates. And that's why I think Mark's programs just were able to carry forward so much. Most of his improvements and enhancements has been, well, improvements and enhancements, not changes or fixes. I do think he may have had to do some fixes to accommodate SSDs when that became a thing. Dennis had said you need to run Process Explorer as administrator, and later he realized I wasn't doing Process Explorer. I was using Process Monitor, but I wanted to address this a little bit, because I want to point out a lot of times you'll see instructions on technical documents to say, do this as admin, right click and choose run as admin. That's not always necessary. And I'm going to demonstrate why. Now, keep in mind or let me point out that a lot of technical documents are written expecting to be consumed by the IT department in a company. When they go to somebody's computer, it's probably not logged in as administrator. So right click and run as administrator, they're going to be prompted to put in an administrator password. Now that's not the only explanation of run as admin. So I'm going to come over here to Baby Beast. I didn't test that button today. It does work. Right now I have Baby Beast logged in with a standard user account. That standard user account is called DB. So if I come over here to Process Explorer, for instance, tiny little screen here I'm looking at, and I double click on it without running as admin, it works. It'll launch, it'll open. It's possible that there are some, well, definitely some things you won't be able to do in here without elevating to admin credentials. Now, if I close this and then right click on it and choose run as admin, since it's not currently logged in with an administrator account, I'm going to have to log in here with an administrator account. And I would have to do more choices because staff 7 I don't think is an administrator account. So my point there is sometimes when you just, if you are logged in with administrator account, if you just launch the program, even though the instruction says run as admin, it may work just fine. That's not always the case because admin, there is an admin account on your computers that's different, and I have that on here somewhere. Oh yes, it's on my one of these tabs I have open is computer management. I didn't mention I was going to go look at that one, but in the users field here you see my usernames on Big Beast, but there's also an administrator account. But notice the administrator account with that down arrow means that it's disabled. If I come here to properties, see that actually that the account is disabled. I can't actually log in as administrator, but there are some functions that are restricted even on an administrator level account, which, what is it, built-in account, and this isn't showing me that I'm on the admin group, but I think if I come over here, member of administrators group. So I have administrator rights. Now, let's get back to the Microsoft Word document. From Jeff, Jeff saying the author wrote these programs long before Sysinternals. We're going to go take a look at that. You're illustrating how much a computer does in a few milliseconds. That's right. And then Wintermute here has a couple entries. Time to shoot some troubles, he said in the chat room. And I just thought that that was his play on the name of the video. And then he responds to BH Ringer that he was just joking about misspelled. So Wintermute and anybody else, I didn't get this. I didn't understand that this was your hint that I had reverted back to the thumbnail for the video that has the word troubles or troubleshoot misspelled. It wasn't until I saw this that I was, oh, wait a minute, did that not get fixed? Because I had fixed that in the past, but then because I didn't fix it at the right place, when I did the next live stream, I got that incorrect thumbnail. I fixed them all yesterday. I checked today's thumbnail. It is correctly spelled for the word trouble. And I think Wintermute was also correcting me because I think during yesterday's video, I probably said 18 threads. I might have pronounced it. I didn't go back and look, but this computer is 18 cores, 36 threads. Then from comments, Parker Moore says, thank you, Doug, for helping my email. IMAP SMTP. And let me point out, people, I don't care about typos now and then. It's misspelled SMTP. So the read, set, and receiver, read, send, and receiver, and receive receipts did transfer to my Gmail. I'm having a hard time with setting a signature on Gmail, even though I have a mobile signature. If I send now, I don't know what trouble you're having, so I can't provide you the help with that right there. If you want to come on to Saturday's live stream, I can connect remotely to your computer. It's the easiest to have a conversation rather than going back and forth in emails and chat. But anyway, you want to handle it. And then this was from, let's see, who is this? This was from Paul Fredfield. Apologize for dreadful spelling. Hey, you are in good company here. We all do it. Don't give a second thought about that. Chronic fatigue syndrome, that you are in good company with people here. We have a lot of gray hair folks here with various health issues. So no apologies needed there. Bit of brain fog. No, not embarrassment to everyone. Let go of that. Please get over it. Samsung Magician doesn't seem to be the problem. This is back with the problem that we've talked about a few days in a row about Fred Field. Cold reboot has not solved it. And I get a clue in here. The 3.7 processor boost to 4.6, currently running at frequency 1% usage all the time. I misunderstood your earlier comments, and this is one of the problems with doing things through chat and through emails, is for me to take an incorrect understanding or assumption. I was thinking that your computer the processor was running at full speed, utilizing it, and that your computer was sluggish because of that. Now I'm not so sure. Maybe it's just that you're seeing that statistic on Task Manager that tells you the processor is running at high speed. Cronus installed, which were also there before. Nothing else has been installed. First time I built this PC, I am turning it off when not in use, running at 4.6 when idling is not right. Now, if you're saying it's running at 4.6 and idling, meaning the Task Manager shows that idle processes is taking up the most time, well, that's not your computer working hard. That's just Task Manager showing the processor is running that speed. I don't trust Task Manager very well for statistics. So you should run hardware info. Do I have that one open right now? Try launching hardware info and see if it agrees that the processor is running that high. And if so, then go look in BIOS, in the BIOS setup, for settings in there for power management and for CPU boost, for turbo, things like that. I went exploring around in Big Beast setup yesterday for that. You might find a setting there that will let the processor speed come back down, but it's not, in my opinion, an important issue. So here's where I'm showing 2.92. If I had gone there yesterday, it would have been like 3.4 because I changed the automatic overclocking capability in CMOS and told it stop doing that. I want to see what happens if it does not run at the higher clock speeds. And I have seen computers that show they're just stuck at a top number. Oh, hush. Oh, hush. Hush up. Hush up. I wasn't talking to you. And yeah, so I guess I finished that. I will watch the stream, see if I get a resolution. If you want to leave, that's okay. I think what might have happened, because you're saying that this change of that statistic occurred when you installed an NVMe drive and installed fresh Windows 10. I'm suspecting somewhere during that process you got a BIOS update that changed the default settings of your BIOS and changed one of those settings. Okay, so let's move on to the next topic. Process Explorer is like Task Manager on steroids. It actually, you can come in here. Let's see, am I at the right places? Options. Configure what? Only one instance. Replace Task Manager right here. If you choose this, Replace Task Manager, that means when you call up Task Manager in the future, you will get Process Explorer, which has far more information, far more things that you can do with it. I'm not going to go into all those things now because I'm going to run out of time. I'm giving kind of a high-level overview now. So Process Explorer is all the processes that are loaded into your computer right now, active in your computer right now. They could be doing things right now or not. You can sort by the CPU column to see what's taking up the most activity. There's going to be much more that shows up here than what Task Manager shows. Then let's go on at a high level, meaning giving a high level overview of these things. Process Monitor, look at that next. Those are the things that actually occur item by item in a sequential fashion. We saw this yesterday with these times. Now, I discovered the reason why I failed on doing that search for that document is because the place that I did a copy and a paste of that file name did a shortened version, or it had an encrypt. It wasn't the full name. So I went back and did that. So this is now selected and limited to just the entries for that document, my chat document. And it's from yesterday, 5:35 p.m. But what I wanted to point out here, because I thought this was kind of interesting, this is read file is the action that was happening then. It was occurring at offset 71,798. The length of that was 42. Now I was wondering, is that 42 bits or 42 bytes? Before we try to answer that, let's go on. The length is 42. Well, add 42 to 798, that gets you to 71,840. So this process is handing off that read operation to the next read operation. And that next read operation is 19 in length. So 840 plus 19 is 859. So you can see these sequentially occurring. And I imagine that there's this little guy named read file, And he does his read of 42, and then he hands it off to the next read file. You know, it's like there's multiple Dougs, there's multiple read file entities in here. So he hands it off to the next one. He says, no hurry, whenever you get around to it, in the next few hundred millionths of a second would be fine. And then the interesting thing here is there's this one, 42, 19, 4, 42, 11, 4, 42, 17, 4, 42, 28, 4, 42, 21, 4. Do you see a pattern here? So there's something standard and repeatable about each of those, and I think the actual data is probably these numbers in the middle. I don't know. I don't care. I just found it a little bit of interesting because I'm a Doug. This offset was 71,798. Now, if I come over to actually look at that file, let's see in this window here, here's that file. It is 72,000 bytes in size. Well, that makes it sound like those numbers are referring to bytes rather than bits. There's 73,728. So I'm kind of thinking that these offset numbers are referring to bytes and these lengths are referring to bytes. Do we care? Probably not. But I just find those kind of things intriguing. Now, so we talked about Process Monitor, Process Explorer. Of course, didn't go very much extensive into them. Then I want to go to Disk View. So here's Disk View. This shows, now this takes a while for it to populate. I think it took over an hour when I launched this for it to fully populate. So in here you can actually find individual files. If I come over here to this ellipsis menu, and then go look at that particular file. This is a copy of the file, not in my OneDrive folder where I normally launch from, because this disk view doesn't work very well in a OneDrive area. So, but anyway, if I click to request, where is that file on disk, and click open. Now, what happens is it has highlighted that file on this screen. It moved this scroll box down to where it was, which created this big white area. That white area is not that file. The file is right up here in the top left corner, these yellow squares. If I click on that, it shows here the name of that file. If I click elsewhere, we see other files. And up here at the top, it tells me what those files are. If I come back up here to this top left corner and click on any of those squares again, it shows me that file. That is that precise file. And then I found another interesting thing, and these are all only interesting things, not important to troubleshooting a computer. And I'm going to point out why in a moment, and that's kind of a point I'm driving towards. So here's a file here. It's a 189 kilobyte file. If I click to open that, there it is in the upper left corner. It's a single little tiny square. And I just accidentally stumbled across that. So 189,000 bytes in that single file. Right? It was 189,000, wasn't it? Yes. Okay. So then down here, you got these different color codes that are different kinds of files. If you come up here to the Help menu, choose Legend, it'll tell you what those different colors mean. What are you going to do with that? Yeah, that's a stretch. It's intriguing. It's interesting to a Doug, or anyone who kind of has a little bit of Doug tendencies. I don't want to scare you into thinking, oh my gosh, am I a Doug? If you find that you are interested in that, that might be a scary thing. Now down here is RAM map. So here's another item. RAM map, you can see how memory is mapped in your computer. This is use counts. This is processes, priority summary. Now, I'm not going to go into much detail, but I'm not going to go into any details about these because I haven't looked deeply into them. I don't care. At the beginning of this short series about Sysinternals, I made the comment, I really don't use this very much. And I found it fascinating, a comment that Mark Rusinovich himself made. See, where do I want to go? I'll come up here to, here's Mark's webcast, and then here's Mark's videos. These are not actually Mark's videos. This is a channel called Mark Rusinovich. I don't think he actually controls this channel. I'm going to finish that comment in a moment that I was driving towards. Date added newest. So here it shows 5 months ago, but look at the title. This is actually a video from 2007. He does not appear in this video at all current time. This is a video from way back in 2007. The resolution is horrible on it, where he was giving a presentation. Now he talks through some troubleshooting cases here, and a comment that he makes in one of these videos, I don't remember which one it was, is that the tool that he uses the most, that he relies on the most is over here. Let's go, one of these windows I think has Sysinternal Suite, is this one way down at the bottom, alphabetical order, called Zoom It. And what that does is, if I do Control 1, it zooms the screen. That is the Sysinternal tool that he uses most often, not that other stuff. Now, a story in this video here, he tells several actual troubleshooting situations that are all his own computers. Now, this is a big deal point here. He tells several stories, very interesting, how he used the Sysinternals tools, Process Monitor and auto runs. I didn't even mention auto runs in this or display it, and Process Explorer to find troubles on his computer, on his own computers. His own computers experiencing troubles. He used those tools to go find it. The solutions to those problems, what it took him to, is he needed an updated driver for a network adapter. He had a printer configured on his computer that no longer exists on his network. He had a network device on his network that he had removed, that one of his software programs was constantly looking to go find that. Those are all things that can be solved without having to use these tools. However, these tools did get him to the suspect. He got him to a file name that had something to do with network. And then he thought, oh, I made this change recently on my network. One of them was a wireless networking adapter that needed an updated driver. So if you're consistent with updating your drivers, the problems that he demonstrated there are not going to be found with these, well, are going to be found with these tools, but you could solve the problem just by updating drivers. Now, that's not all these tools are used for. They are really useful to malware hunting. And in one of his videos, he points out that the malware that pen testers use, the ways that pen testers gain access to the companies that they are doing penetration testing on, those things are often not caught by most antivirus products. And he gave a number of 30% of them, something like that, are not detected by antivirus, anti-malware products. So if you're in an IT department and you're in the security department and you're trying to find malware that's not being detected by the anti-malware, antivirus products, these tools are incredibly useful. If you got a computer that's running real sluggish, these will be very helpful, but there's other ways to solve those issues too. Come down to your notification area at the bottom, close down things that are running, turn off things that are auto-launching, perhaps update. So anyway, I'm starting to ramble a little bit. Let me finish the tabs that I've got here on Chrome. Mark's Webcast, this is from Microsoft's website. Notice the most recent there is 2015. Here's in Wikipedia, regarding Sysinternals. Points out, let's see, Mark created this in 1996. Created in 1996, operated by the company Sysinternals, and it was originally known as NT Internals. And I think I caught on to it within a year or two after that, because I was active with TechNet, I think is what it was called back then, where I had a subscription with Microsoft and got up-to-date things. But then it tells more information about him. He didn't actually start working for Microsoft for about 10 years after that. Currently, I believe he's a Chief Technical Officer of Microsoft Azure. So he's not full-time developing this stuff, but he does still do updates once in a while. This was his, what purports to be his channel. If you come over here to the About tab, it just tells about Mark. It doesn't give any sense of ownership. It's only 6.83 thousand subscribers. It's just not very active. But then here's something interesting, is that he's written some fiction books, nonfiction and fiction books. And here's the book showing the categories. I listen to a lot of audio books, And so these are on my intentions. I've put this one in my library. I haven't listened to it yet. I'm going to go through these two also. So did I think, one other thing, going back on Paul, right? Paul Fredfield. Yeah. Getting information from the client, the person having the problem, and digging in deeper. That's one of the points that Mark talks about in his videos, the importance of doing that. And he might have had trouble solving those issues on his own computers had he not known, if he had not personal knowledge of what he had done with those computers. 25 minutes, oh my gosh. So I stumbled across this article recently from a February 2001 edition of Rampages, which was the newsletter for a PC users group that I was involved in back then. And if you can see up there at the top, it was written by me, DougBetts Computer Age Consulting, and it was titled Talk to Me. And it's a story about how to solve the problem, I had to pull out more details from the user. And once I got those details, I was able to solve the problem. All right, now let's come over to take a quick look at chat and then end this thing because we're way over time from what I intended to be on these videos. Over here, pop out chat and take a quick look at it. I'm not going to reply to things in chat here. You know that by now, but I'm just going to get awareness of how much there is there and acknowledge the people that were involved during this live stream. And thank you for being here. Oh, you know what? I never did check AVDVR. Boy, it would have been a hard lesson if I came over here and found that you guys weren't hearing me at all. All right, so that's the end of that. Here's my email. And I will mention that I have seen comments in chat and comments on the video afterwards that if I'm not responding to it, if they're not really on point to the topic, I'm not going to respond to them. That doesn't mean you shouldn't make those. Some of them are humorous, some of them are like there was one asking me about what I bought on Kohl's. No, I'm not going to go there. But and that's okay. You can put in those comments if you like. But I'm going to keep these try to keep these pretty much on point. So that's the end of it. I hope that was useful. Have a great day. Catch you later. Goodbye.